Welcome back, learners. So as you have said, you're going to jump to our second concept of this lesson, whereby we'll be looking at the consumer cost. First of all, in order for you to know how much electricity that you need, or how much electricity that you need to buy, you need to start by saving the electricity. So we all have a responsibility to save electricity, to minimize cost and limit the pollution caused by the generation of electricity. We know that the generation of electricity, we are using coal, and coal is causing the pollution. So therefore, when we are saving electricity, we are actually even minimizing the pollution. So we all have that responsibility of saving this electricity so that we can minimize the cost and limit the pollution that is caused by the generation of electricity and its impact on the environment. So examples of measures that may be taken include, so for you to save electricity, these are the things that you can do. Number one, switch off lights and electrical appliances when they are not in use. So when you are not using any certain appliance, switch it off, and also use only energy-saving light bulbs. And then using solar power and solar heating panels for the hot water cylinder. So whenever you want to heat your water, you just use either the solar power or the solar heating panels. Now, after you have saved that electricity, you're then going to be able to know how much you need for the month or how much you need for the week. So let's look at now the consumer cost of electricity. So the quantity of electrical power, let's start there. It costs Eskom a huge amount of money to generate electricity and supply it to houses and factories. So Eskom is spending a lot of money to generate the electricity so that it can be supplied to your house, supplied to the factory that is making all the things that we are using on a daily basis. So Eskom recovers these costs from municipalities that in turn recover it from the consumers in two ways. So the consumers being the people that are using the electricity and being the people that are buying the electricity from the municipalities. So the two ways in which it is recovered. Number one, Eskom is going to read the electricity meters at houses and factories on a specific day each month to determine how many units of electricity were used by the consumer during that month. And number two, this reading is indicated on the municipal bill for payment by the consumer. So Eskom is going to now be reading these meters, and these meters are going to show how much electricity was used in that either that household or in that factory. And now, once Eskom knows how much electricity was used, the municipality can then be able to bill you for the month or bill you for the amount of the electricity that you have used in that particular duration or in that particular period. So a prepaid electricity meter equipped with an electricity card is installed at houses. Furthermore, the consumer can then now buy a certain amount of units of electricity online or directly from the municipality or from most supermarkets. Then the receipt gives token numbers that the consumer must punch into the meter to load the new credit. So these units that you are punching into the meter, they are fixed quantities of electrical power. So each unit, it gives you a certain amount of specific power that can be used based on those tokens that you are getting from the receipt when you are buying it from the supermarket or even online, even directly from the municipality. Then the quantity of power used is measured in kilowatt hours. So this is how we are going to be denoting it, kilowatt hours. Then the quantity of power consumed by the consumer and the payable amount is calculated as follows. So the amount of electricity that you have consumed and the amount that you need to pay for the electricity is calculated using this particular formula, that the number of kilowatt hours is equals to the kilowatt multiplied by the number of hours. So we're going to say power multiplied by the number of hours, which is going to be time in this case. So the number of kilowatt an hour is going to be calculated by using this formula. So now let's look at how much now we can be able to pay for electricity that we are using. So let's look at the cost of electrical power consumption. So to calculate the cost, we're going to be using this formula to say cost is equal to the power rating of an appliance. Remember, we are finding this power rating at the back of an appliance. It is going to be multiplied by the number of hours in which that appliance was used, and then further be multiplied by the unit price of electricity, which is our tariff. So let's now use this example and put it into practice. The question is, a 120 watt electric blanket is left on for 8 hours. So if that is then the case, how many kilowatt hours of electrical energy is used by the blanket? So the kilowatt hours is going to be equals to the power rating multiplied by the time in which it was in use. So we need to make sure that our wattage, our power rating that is given to us, it is always in kilowatts. So we need to convert our 120 watts into kilowatts, and to do that, we are going to be dividing the 120 watts by 1000. So therefore, dividing 120 watts by 1000, it gives us 0.12, and this 0.12 is going to be in kilowatts. So that's what you're going to be substituting in place of our power rating. So therefore, this is going to be 0.12 multiplied by the time, and the time is, we are told that it was in use for 8 hours. So it's 0.12 multiplied by 8. So when you punch that in your calculator, 0.12 multiplied by 8, you are going to get a 0.96. So that we're going to get 0.16 kilowatt hours. So the kilowatt hours of electrical energy that we used is going to be 0.96. Then furthermore, still in keeping with the very same cost of electricity or of electrical power equation, we are now told that we need to assume that the electricity tariff at the start of the year was R1.53 per kilowatt hours. What is then the cost in rands of using the electrical blanket for 8 hours? So because we are calculating cost, we are going to be making use of this equation that is given here to say cost is going to be equals to the power rating of appliance, which is going to be our P, our power rating, multiplied by the number of hours, which is time, the number of hours it was used, and then further multiplied by the tariff, which is going to be our tariff. And remember, our tariff is given to be R1.53. So the power, remember, it was still 100, it's still the very same appliance, which is 120 watts, and we do know that it needs to be converted to kilowatts, and we did that already, and we found it to be 0.12 kilowatts. And then the time, it was still in use for 8 hours, and then the tariff now it's R1.53. So P for power rating of the appliance is 0.12 multiplied by the time, which is still 8 hours, and multiplied by the tariff, which is R1.53. And the cost of the electrical power, when you punch that into a calculator, 0.12 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 1.53, we are getting in rands. Remember, you must always include the units. It's 1 rands 4688, which we can round off to say this is approximately, R1.47 if we are rounding off to 2 decimal places. We can round that off to R1.47. So I sure then hope that now you know how to calculate the cost of electrical power using the power rating of the appliance. You need to make sure that you remember that you always need to convert the watts into kilowatts, and then the tariff, remember, it is going to be different from location to location. So with all of that said, until I see you next time, goodbye.